I'm mid, though. I have finally achieved mid status. This is exciting. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Clean and Sober Stoner. I'm Scott. I'm the managing editor of cleanandsoberstoner.com, monsterriff.com, and this here YouTube thingy. And I'm basically the unpaid indentured servant. Wow, that was bitter, wasn't it?
Well,
like, I'm tired.
You're talking to musicians. We get it.
I had a chance to talk to Dalton a little bit. I'm gonna lead with the headline. Jesus Christ, this is so much better than I thought it was gonna be. I've seen Doomsday Profit live, and I loved that first album. I loved it, but hearing you live, it's like a different band.
Mm-hmm.
And now, this one sounds like you. Smoke. This is my first time around, and I'll be goddamned if Appalachian Black Magic isn't. I need to do a top 20 songs of the year. This is top 5, man. That is one. Man. That is one. Suck you in. It's like I'm traveling down a road like you have on your cover. Except for on the other side of that hill is this forest,
right,
with all sorts of creepy crawly things. I don't want near. Hats off to both of you. This is.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
I think this is going to hit the heavy underground kind of sideways of everybody else. You've got Ripple Music and their Turn to Stone series. You have, everybody puts them out, right? Blues Funeral with
they do, but the split format is interesting. It's kind of an oddball these days. It's tricky to get it to upload to streaming clearly, where it's not. Right. It doesn't look like a collaboration. There's Heavy Psych Sounds has their Doom Session series and Ripple Turn to Stone, but outside of those, it's kind of like it was a bit of an odd duck. But I've always loved it as a format. Especially growing up listening to punk and hardcore, it was like 2 bands for one record. That's perfect.
Right. Mm-hmm. And it's a perfect taste. How long's it been for you, Dalton, since Smoke had good stuff out? New stuff out.
Yeah.
God, how long's it been since you had good music out?
Yeah.
Damn it. That's such a mean thing to do.
2022, I think.
Okay, so not that long.
Yeah. We released our first album then, and we've been working on stuff, but this has been the main focus here lately.
Yeah.
Like I said, we work at a snail's pace as a band.
It's been 2021 since we put anything out, Dalton, so.
I know. I can't believe it's been 3 years.
I know. It's wild. I mean, it always takes longer to get things out than you think it's going to, but
well, unless you're King Gizzard and Lizard, whatever.
They're probably the 17th record they're putting out this year was probably recorded 2 years ago, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you think they're just taking a whole bunch of speed and locking themselves in a room, record 36 hours, and then
maybe. I mean,
they locked themselves in a room 6 months ago.
Yeah,
and it's like that's their next 27 albums. Yeah.
It's funny. The recording itself usually doesn't take too long. It can you can go back and forth on mixes forever if you want to, but the hard thing is once you have it done and you're trying to figure out, okay, here's how we're going to release it. Here's who we're going to work with. You got to have at least a few months of promotion cycle. And since this is on vinyl, that's always a bit of a lead time, and then it's a little unpredictable too, because you've seen how many folks have announced release dates, and then the day comes and the vinyl's not there yet. So we definitely wanted to avoid that. And I'm actually happy to say that the vinyl is in hand as we speak. So
what? Do you have it?
Those pre-orders will be going out definitely on time.
Yeah. Hold on, I got one right here.
Ours are at Ryan's.
Hold on.
You know what I should do is, hey, the first person to put "Oh hell yeah" in the comments gets this album.
You know what? I'm down for that.
So here's the Smoke side, and then
oh Jesus, I didn't see that because on my little digital thingy that I looked at. Okay, so we had confirmation. The first Mooga Fooger to write "Oh hell yeah" in the comments gets this album,
Yeah,
and the three of us will work out.
I'll send I'll send one of my personal copies.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, again, that's worth repeating, right?
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah!
In the comments, make it happen. Like and subscribe.
Oh, I realized I had it in the plastic, so I had a bit of a glare on it. That might look a little bit better. Anyways.
You did now, Dalton. You told me you did both sides.
Yeah. The original painting for it is one 48-inch by 24 painting that I did specifically for this, so that it would mirror perfectly. Well, in theory.
I gotta call bullshit on a couple things right here. I remember my punk and hardcore friends, right, when they design an album, they take like duct tape and then write anarchy across it and maybe put in an edgy safety pin.
Yeah.
It looks like a 5-year-old with finger painting. and you, like, what are you paint on? Is it acrylic, watercolor? What are you using?
Yeah, acrylic. I paint acrylics, well, not to get like too in the weeds, in the fashion of like oil painting. So I layer acrylic paint is how I've always done it. I went to art school and now I work manual labor. So, you know, that goes.
Right. Dave, bachelor's or master's?
Dropped out, man. Even better. Art school dropout.
Tale is
so you have a couple master's degrees people working for you.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, Scott, our album definitely would have had a little bit more of a minimalist punk aesthetic if we didn't have a talented painter involved in the process.
I love my punk and hardcore. That, or better yet, you know, like a black metal band where y'all just post.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's real art. The artwork is totally evocative. It totally fits with like the tone and everything. Although Doomsday Prophet, you guys got heavier. I don't know how.
That's the goal. Each time a little bit heavier than the last. Yeah, it was interesting that those songs. It's weird because we've been playing them now for a while, and our side was recorded late 2022 was when the tracking was done, and then mixing into 2023, and it's been a process. We had a drummer changeover in between there. So, it's kind of hard to go back to like, we're also one of those bands that will play the new songs live before we go into the studio. So by the time they're recorded, if you've seen us live, you've probably already heard our next record.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I mean, I think the themes are, I feel like I'm maybe a little bit more blunt with it this time. I've been giving myself a little bit more permission to just say what I mean, but still trying to leave enough wiggle room to, let people bring themselves into it. But I think that does lend itself to a little bit more of a direct kind of forceful.
Well, you open the door, and me being a therapist and all, what do you mean? What are you trying to say in this album? Like, I'll edit it out if it's, something cringy, but...
Well, I mean, I guess cringe is in the eye of the beholder, right?
Yes.
But, there's 3 songs and they're all very different, but, working backwards, Void Ritual was a little bit just kind of a fun way of doing some kind of Lovecraft cosmic horror, and we wanted to put that, longer psychedelic bridge in there and play with some different sounds. But I Am Your God is pretty blunt. It is really kind of taking aim at the prosperity gospel and, folks who would make false promises, all the same stuff that, all us Bible Belt bands are dealing with. I know your Windrider interview dug into that. I know.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Like,
that's something Dalton writes about as well.
Yeah, I noticed.
So, and then No Salvation, we always joke is about, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos going up into space and then burning up upon re-entry.
I love you. I love you guys.
But it's definitely, it's inspired by that. It was also, I read a series of tweets that somebody wrote about the reality of being in space and like, having to go to the bathroom into a hose and eat, freeze dried food. And like, it's not really any place that you'd want to go. It's not an escape from.
Hey, if that's what's being in space, I'm in space right now, dude. Been doing the same thing for years.
Well, that's just efficiency, but
yeah, right.
But you're basically like, you can't walk, your bones are turned into jelly because you're in zero gravity forever, and like it's not the fantasy that I think some of these people have, that they can just fly off when things get too bad on Earth.
Yeah, right.
Wait, you mean like Children of the Grave?
Yeah.
You brought up, I want to point one thing out, and I think both of you bands, if I'm wrong, correct me. Like, just like Wind Rider and a few other bands, Dope Scum, also from Tennessee, comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
You're cultural, you're being very harsh, but you ain't political. Like, if the left or the right were to try to co-op your shit, you'd be saying fuck you to them as much. Do I read that correctly?
I think that I'm, like, maybe not lyrically. I think all of us personally would probably feel one way or the other. Smoke's from Lynchburg, so Jerry Falwell, Liberty University is our, like, claim to fame. Like, that's where we come from. Very, very Republican, and, like, I hope I'm not putting them on blast, but two of our members are very religious, and two of our members are very atheist. I'm in the atheist camp. And so, like, I think a lot of what my lyrics end up being about is, like, tiptoeing around good religion and bad religion, which is my opinion, which I think our band has a lot of conversations about, just being that we are legitimately split, divided, but we're still all best friends. So, like, I've always enjoyed the, like, religious conversation rather than, like, a I'm right, you're wrong type of deal. And I think that we might, and again, being from this area, and, like, my neighbors have Trump signs, and we're very good at maybe keeping our politics a little bit more to ourselves, for better or for worse, which,
I miss those days.
Right.
When I grew up, it's like, you didn't sit at dinner and talk about politics.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And our Lutheran friends didn't all of a sudden start going after Catholic. Today is cray-cray.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it is always a fine line. Like, I think Doomsday Profit, I don't think we hide our political leanings, and we're pretty far to the left. We don't really hide it, but I do, lyrically try to leave some nuance. One, because I don't want to just be screaming headlines or bumper stickers at people.
Right.
I'd like to have something a little bit more going on, and not just make it sloganeering. And so, yeah, I mean, I hope people who don't necessarily align 100% with our stance on every issue, can still find something that resonates in the music. Maybe, it helps people have those conversations or open their minds. I mean, it does feel weird to be like, yeah, we're political because we hate Nazis. Like, that shouldn't be a political statement.
Right.
But,
here we are. So, for the record, Doomsday Profit, anti-Nazi.
Yeah, smoke agrees.
For the record, and I'll make this official, Clean and Sober Stoner, very resoundingly anti-Nazi.
Well, you're wearing the Bog Wizard Pride shirt, like, it's
that's awesome.
Can I tell you a great Bog Wizard story? It'll take me 10 seconds.
Yeah, of course.
So I get 200 things a week. Hey, Clean and Sober Stoner. So I get this really good email, like, detailing stuff on the channels. And then at the bottom, Bog Wizard. And I'm like, you have to be effing kidding me. So I just took my phone out, did a selfie, and went, I'm wearing the Bog Wizard shirt right when they're, and I'm like, I love this. I love this life.
Yeah, those dudes are fun. We've messaged back and forth a little bit, but we haven't made it up there and they haven't made it down here yet.
Am I hearing a Smoke, Doomsday Prophet, Bog Wizard, maybe Wind Rider little thing?
No, I wouldn't mind that at all.
Yeah, we won't rule anything out.
Wind Rider just stayed at my house, like 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah, we played with them the next night. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. No.
Yeah, it is a small circle, once you start playing out of town a little bit and reaching out to other bands, which is cool.
Okay. Back to Smoke.
All right.
Again, the beginning so your first song is Appalachian Black Magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you start out with kind of an atmospheric thing. It sounds like one of those intro tracks.
Right.
That a certain band will not talk to me anymore because I criticized that they did this weird intro and pissed them off.
Oh, yeah.
But it just builds and builds and builds. And I'm expecting like Weed Eater Part 3 type stuff.
Right.
And just the sound of those guitars. And what the hell is your bass player effing playing? Because that tone is... I love Ryan Sweeney. I think Ryan Sweeney's top 20, bass player that I've ever seen. But Jesus Christ, that sound.
Yeah. So Steven Tyree is his name. He's our new bass player. We were playing some covers, hanging out, and not really. We parted ways with our old bass player, and he came in and just blew our mind. And like, he was always like a thrash metal fan and like power metal. That was what he always loved. And so we were like, okay, well, and I immediately was like, well, I like the sound of like fuzz and clean bass together running stereo. Like we run full stereo rigs. And so like he brought some of this, like that style into like some of these pedals that I had. And it just like kind of birthed this sound. And I was like, whatever that is, that's it. Like, I love that. Like, keep doing that all the way through.
Who did the recording and mixing?
So, for that, we went... 2 of the songs, Hellish Rebuke and Appalachian Black Magic, were done in North Carolina with Scotty Sandwich at the Sandwich Shop. And then Scavenger we recorded earlier at a local studio here in the Lynchburg area called Fainting Goat.
Okay,
and then,
they do sound a little different. There's... Yeah. Okay, so I'm not going deaf.
Yep, and then mix-wise, we send them down to Ben McLeod from All Them Witches. Yep, his studio down there. We just actually recorded our next album in St. Augustine with him. But yeah, he's great. We've worked with him on all of our stuff. So
next album, sneak peek, ETA?
No, we have a ways to go. We have to go back down to Florida like in February to record the next half of it. So
okay, I still got the scoop. So whatever you do, email me, let me know, because I feel like I want to hear what comes next.
Awesome.
Doomsday, you're like in Idle Orbit was fantastic, but it sounded a little when I first heard that, I thought you all were like 40, 50-year-old bikers who were stuck down in a cave listening to Thou and Primitive Man and going, I'm heavier than that. Fuck this. Mm-hmm. And then I find out you're the most punctual band I've ever seen. Like, can I tell? Like, so I'm at a gig with Doomsday Prophet. It was Lie Heavy and Red Mesa, and
got my Red Mesa pint glass from that show right here.
Nice.
So I'm talking to a couple members, and Bryan comes up and goes, "Band meeting." And it's just like everything stopped. Everyone went. I'm looking at my clock and going, "Oh shit, this is going to start on time." Because I'm talking to another dude, and like 1 minute before showtime, boom. I'm like, God damn. And the whole show is like that.
We do try to be punctual, especially when you're playing early. You don't want to make everyone else run late, because then it's the headliner who pays for it at the end of the day, and that's not what you want. We want to see Lie Heavy and Red Mesa too. So
right. And then the other thing is I actually saw a singer tear down and put up a drum set. All hails Carl Angel. Just boom.
A gentleman and a scholar he is.
Yep, there you go.
Oh my God. And living legend, living walking legend who doesn't give two shits about his legend, which what makes him legend.
He is actually neighbors with Ryan, which is our kind of like they live down the street. Fun fact, actually, when we got the test pressings for this split, Carl works in like home audio and commercial audio. So he's got a killer stereo setup. So we actually went to his house to listen to our test presses.
That's awesome.
Of this?
Of the Doomsday Prophet Smoke split. We got a little preview of some Legions of Doom and Lie Heavy tracks. But yeah, he had us over so we could take advantage of his stereo system and give us his feedback, which was very positive. And yeah, I mean, hearing especially Smoke side, all the layers that you guys have in there, just jumping off of the platter was unreal.
Yeah. Well, you're no slouch. The guitar sound is so saturated and clear. It sounds like Doomsday Prophet. It does. It's not like but you reinvented it. Like, did you feel like you were able to capture what was in your head a little bit more on this one?
Yeah, In Idle Orbit was, for me at least, Kevin and Trad had done some previous recording with other bands, so they had a little bit more experience in that realm. But for Ryan and I, it was the first time we'd done it. Scotty was a great guide for us, and we kind of wanted to go in and have a raw sounding, live sounding record. And, when it came time to go back and do some more tracks, I'd like to think our songwriting had gotten a little more ambitious. We were starting to try on some new things, and we wanted to take advantage of the studio a little bit more. Not to the sense that we couldn't recreate it live, but that it would be a little bit different experience. So there's some stuff like there's some keyboards low in the mix on Void Ritual. I actually played with an EBow on that song.
Awesome. Love that.
Okay. Yeah. Are you doing that live? Do you pull out the EBow?
No, but actually, like that whole section has switched. Like on the split, it's a straight 4/4 time. When David joined the band, he just felt like switching it to 6/8, so it gets a little too proggy for my taste. But no, it was it's fun. It's so I've always felt like songs are living things, like they're meant to evolve.
Yeah.
You don't want to be overly rigid with it. So especially when you have new players come in, like we wanted David's fingerprints all over whatever he was playing with us. Yeah. In the same way that I feel like, Trad's style is very apparent on this record, and, his approach to playing is very different than David's. And I'm glad we got this kind of like final chapter with him to put out some really strong songs that pointed in a different direction. And then, the songs that we've written with David have gone in yet another direction. So,
yeah.
I think it all sounds like Doomsday Prophet. It's all heavy. It's all coming from the same place and a pretty broad assortment of influences, but, we're not trying to do the same thing twice either.
Yeah, I lose count of your influences when I'm listening. I think the one band that and hopefully you take this as a compliment, definite Gravehover vibes.
Interesting.
In how eclectic, especially the way the drum and the bass are playing off each other. It's like, because they're also very eclectic. They come from different places. So I'm like, this just has that, like Gravehover, not their extreme black death thrash metal, but when they decide to doom out a little bit, which they did on the last album, it's great stuff. We know that Smoke has another album in the pike.
Right.
Is there anything else for Doomsday Prophet in the near future?
Hopefully nearer than 3 years this time.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, who do you think you are, Tool?
I know, right? Our songs are not that complicated to play. It shouldn't take this long. We actually do. We have recorded a full length. We have mixes. It hasn't been mastered. There's no art, but it is recorded. So I'm starting to kind of put some feelers out to see if anybody out there would be interested in pressing it up. So that's on the table. I will say, I think it's different than an Idle Orbit. It's different than the Split. It's a little bit more dynamic and technical. Like I said, David has a different approach on the drums. He's more of a like death and black metal drummer. So there's more double bass, more dynamics, more of those things. There was one song that, if it helps, the working title was Sleepultura.
That tracks. I can see that.
So,
dude, that's like you need to form a super group with 2 or 3 Appalachian bands. Call you. By the way, that reminds me. Slower new album coming out soon.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, that was fast, dudes. I can't thank you enough. I know. Oh, who's doing your vinyl?
So this is coming out via the excellent Olde Magick Records. That was they actually released Smoke's Groupthink previously.
Yep.
And yeah, Gideon and Olde Magick have been super supportive and helpful in getting this out. And I mean, you saw it. It exists, and it looks gorgeous. And hopefully people are enjoying it. I know Smoke's first song, Scavenger, side A, track 2, has been out for a little bit. It's streaming everywhere. We just released No Salvation on streaming and everything a few weeks ago. So, there's your first taste, and there's more where that came from.